Good afternoon, everyone. Happy Wednesday. Happy hump day. And so today we're going to be talking about real estate investing. I'm going to have one of my platinum coaching students on the call with me, Josue, and we're going to talk a lot about some projects that he's done. He's a newer investor. And so we're going to talk about a project that he just completed in Baltimore recently. And so he's gone through the whole process of finding the property. He'll tell us how he found the property, which was at an auction. He's going to tell us also how he financed the property, how he found the contractor, the pitfalls of flipping a property, why he invested in Baltimore, all those types of things. So we're going to talk to Josue in a second about just kind of his journey through his really first flip of a real estate investment property. But while we're waiting on Josue to come on, I do want to talk about the market and where the market is and how it relates to real estate investing. Interest rates, as most of you guys already know, has gone up. They've come down just a little in the last couple of weeks. They will be going back up. The Fed's getting ready to meet and they're going to go back up. It's no excuse not to invest. It's always a good time to invest. One thing that you've got to look at as a real estate investor, especially if you're buying and holding, is equity and appreciation. And so equity and appreciation is really good right now. And so property values are really appreciating at a high rate. And so now is the time to invest. Now, cash flow isn't as good because of interest rates, unless you bought previous to this market. But when you're buying now in this market, you do have to be conscious of interest rates. And your payment is going to be high, but get the property, buy the property anyway, because interest rates will be going low and your cash flow will increase when you can refinance and get a lower interest rate. But if you wait, the property value is going to cost you a lot more to buy the property. And so buy the property, buy it right, take advantage of the equity and appreciation. We're getting somewhere around 35% on average appreciation. That's incredible. We hope for 20%, meaning you buy a house today and in 5 years it doubles in value. A good appreciation is 10%. Buy a house today and in 10 years, it doubles in value. We're getting 35%, you guys, over the last 2 years. And so now is the time to buy. I always recommend buying and holding. Sometimes we do need to wholesale properties or flip properties to get the cash to then buy and hold. And so just keep those things in mind. Also, finding the deals. How are you going to find the deals? Okay. All right. So he's looking for some properties in Bowie right now. Let me know if you find any good deals. And so that's the key, to find good deals and find properties that make sense. I had one of my investors call me over the weekend. He put a property under contract, wanted to get the financing and couldn't get financing. And now he's stuck with the property. Called me to ask me to either help him put up the money to buy the property, which the numbers didn't work because didn't buy the property right, didn't put it on the contract right, then tried to wholesale the property, couldn't wholesale it. The lesson is you've got to know your numbers, you guys. You've got to know your numbers before you write the contract. I always like to say that we make our money going in. And so we make our money when we put the property under contract right. Most investors put the property under contract at the wrong price, and now they're stuck with the property. The gentleman that I just mentioned, he's in jeopardy of getting sued because he put the property under contract. He can't get financing. He can't find a cash buyer to wholesale the deal. Didn't put any contingencies in the contract to get out the contract. Didn't consult with me or anybody else, one of my real estate agents, but didn't consult with me, but now asking me to bail him out, and I just can't bail him out, wrote the wrong contract. And so it's as much money as you can make investing in real estate, you can also lose money as well. And so you've got to do everything right. Because here's what's going to happen in that deal if they can't get out the property, out the contract, they're going to get sued. And even though they didn't, and I'm nervous because even though it's an off market deal and it's not, they didn't use their real estate license or anything. When people go to sue, and they sue everybody, and so they could sue them, they could sue me, they could sue the brokerage, everybody, and so I was almost begging him just to get out the contract. Called the he actually got it from a wholesaler. Called the wholesaler and say I just want out the deal, and they're kind of reluctant to do that. But know your numbers. We go by 70% of the after repair value minus repair costs. That's the formula that we use to buy properties. We want to buy at 70% of what the house will sell for minus repair costs. And a shortcut to that is if you take the after repair value, let's say that he is in, let me get Josue in here real quick. The gentleman now is in, let's say that the property values, the after repair value in Bowie is, there goes Josue. Josue, real quick, the property values in Bowie, let's say are 600,000. Properties that the
Wait, do I need
gentleman
my
right now.
calculator? Do I need my calculator?
No, I think you buy yours right. But here's a shortcut. Buying the properties right, here's a shortcut. If the after repair value is, say, for example, 600,000, divide 600,000 into two, and you get 300,000. That's probably close to what you should be buying the property for. The gentleman that I talked about that was calling me over the weekend didn't do that. Didn't do the shortcut. Didn't do 70%. Now they can't buy the property. They can't get financed. Wanted me to wholesale the deal. I can't wholesale it. I called some of my cash buyers. They said the numbers don't work. Now they may get in trouble, and then they wrote the wrong contract. They used the wrong
Mm.
contract. They could definitely get sued. And so
Yeah.
it's part of that lesson is we got to buy the properties right. You got to know your numbers. And so Josue, this is Josue. He's part of our platinum coaching program. He just recently completed a flip in Baltimore. And so, Josue, why don't you introduce yourself and just talk a little bit about your experience in real estate investing and even why you got into real estate investing.
Yeah. So Josue here. Um, Dominican, grew up in Miami, been in Maryland for the past 10 years. Um, I originally, straight out of college, realized that I wanted to work for myself. And so I got into, I bought a truck, I delivered pharmaceutical products and staple products all on my own dime. And, I made a decent living, straight out of college. But I love that, I was my own boss in a way, as they say, right? And then I came across this sales job that I really enjoyed. The money was way better, but 4 years being with that company, I was not satisfied. I still found myself felt feeling like I was building someone else's wealth. And I didn't like that. Even though I was making good money, I didn't like the fact that I was still feeling like I was still building someone else's wealth. That was always something I didn't like sleeping at night with. So what I did was I reserved about 6 to 8 months of savings, and I said, all right, I'm gonna just quit. I was trying to do both at the same time. It was difficult. When you have kids, they really take that time. Be careful how many kids you have. So so about 8 months ago, I went full time into real estate investing, and there's several reasons. One, I see so much potential to literally make life how you want it in a way. Um, the passive income you can bring in, the wealth you can build. Um, time is one of the most valuable things we have in this world, and I believe that real estate can buy that time for me through owning properties. So that's one of the main reasons why I got into real estate. And I also love, I love seeing ugly things become beautiful. I really do. It's something truly satisfying about seeing something really messed up and then seeing the finished product. So, yeah, that's a little bit about why I'm in the game and why I enjoy real estate. Helping people out is always, on your own dime is always a great thing as well. So.
Yeah, and so for me as well, I mean, I feel like renovating houses is kind of my art form, taking an ugly house and making it beautiful. And knowing that you played a role in that, you designed everything, you played a major role in that. It's good for the economy, it's good for the community, and so all of those things. So I'm with you there. And so I've been doing it straight out of college as well, even though I got out of college many more years than you got out.
It's all good. You still look 30. You still look 30, Greg. You still look 30.
I'll take 37. How about that? And so, Josue, tell her how did you and I meet? How did we meet?
So we met 2 years back, man. I don't know if you remember. We met 2 years back. One of your webinars. You do a great job of marketing, but I saw one of your webinars somewhere, either Facebook or email. I don't know how I got into your webinar, but I went to one of your webinars. It was a class on real estate investing, kind of like the fundamentals, the basics of it. And I remember going there and thinking, man, like, these are the people that I want to be around. These are the people that are doing, big moves, big things, and they're truly making an impact in their families, in their lives, in the communities. I said it felt really good to be in that room. And I remember talking to you afterwards and saying, like, man, I really want to get in, but I don't have money, or it was some type of hiccup. I was making some type of an excuse as to why I didn't want to pull any triggers. But I remember you and I just talking a little bit afterwards, and you just, we actually had a 45-minute convo after that, shortly after that.
How did you get 45 minutes with me, Josue?
Man, by the grace of God, right? No, but no, you had a 45-minute session to see, if this is the best fit and into your coaching program or whatnot. And I remember thinking, like, I'm not really ready. And then so that's how we met. That's really in one of your webinars. That's how we met.
And so I think you kept coming to meetings and to webinars, and then finally you joined the Platinum Coaching Program, and you haven't looked back. You've been finding properties. You and I have been out in the field looking at properties. You finally found a property in Baltimore, West Baltimore. And so tell us about that. How did you find that property, and how did that journey start?
Yeah, absolutely. So I went to one of your Saturday trainings, Saturday webinars, and or it was a Saturday training. It was 4 panelists there, and it was Sharon from Ashland Auction. It was yourself and Sharvita. Sharvita, is that her name? Sharvita.
Sharvita, yeah.
Yeah. Sharvita was there. She's a realtor investor, and she spoke about her experience in buying a property through ashlandauction.com. And, literally a week later, I was under contract for a house from Ashland Auction.
Did you go with us to visit one of her properties, Sharvita?
Yeah. I went. Yeah, that's true as well. I went to one of her properties. She just finished renovating it. It was on the market. She told us the backstory on it, and I thought it was a beautiful product, and I was just like, man, if she could do it. And she went ahead and shared her experience in a panel. I was like, why can't I? What's stopping me? And there wasn't really anything stopping me. So I, as soon as I heard her story, had some questions answered, I was on a contract in a week from there. Because a lot of what I was doing was trying to find my own leads, cold calling, which I still do, right? Like cold calling, driving for dollars.
I think you do You do postcards?
No, no. I want to. I will soon. So driving for dollars, cold calling, and then branding myself, you know, telling people I'm a real estate investor. So it takes time. It takes time when you're finding your own leads that are off market. It takes time. Sometimes it takes money. And then also it's a lot of follow up, you know, where by Action Auction, they had the leads right there and then. It's available for you as long as the numbers work. Here's a lead, right? And so when I saw that this is literally, I don't have to spend time or money. The leads are already there. I just have to go look to see if it's an actual deal or not for me. So I went on the website. You know, they have auctions, and there's a date on the auctions. And the secret is here's the secret. Here's the secret.
All right, you guys get ready because he's getting ready to
Yeah.
good.
I'm not gonna charge you guys for this. I'm not going to. I saved a lot of headache through doing this secret sauce right here. So underneath of the properties that you'll see on Action Auctions, it says pre-bid offers accepted or pre-bids offers not accepted. As long as that says accepted, that's a green light for you to make some money. Because if you can get in to the home and buy that home before it hits the auction, you're saving yourself a lot of headache. And that's what happened with this property. Literally 2 days before it hit the auction, I emailed the company and said, can you tell the seller this is my offer? The seller rejected it, and I made another offer. They accepted it literally 24 to less hours than that before it hit the auction. It was crazy.
So you can,
You know, time is of the essence. You got to be quick when you see a deal.
and so depending on the auction, and Action Auction is one of them, you can actually make an offer on the property before it's being auctioned off, and that's what Josue did. And the actual seller, sometimes the seller is a bank, sometimes the seller is an individual, and in this case it was an individual, accepted his offer, so it actually didn't go to the auction block. Josue put it on the contract before it actually went to the auction block. So that's how you actually purchase that property.
Yep. Yep.
And so where was it? How many bedrooms, bathrooms, type of property, and what did you have to do to it?
It's in St. Joseph, Emerson Village area. If you know where St. Agnes Hospital is, it's about 5 minutes from there. And it's a decent neighborhood. You know, it's all perspective. It's a decent neighborhood. What I did was I looked at the block. I saw that there was about 30 to 40 houses there, and I saw that there was only like 3 or 4 board ups, and I also saw 2 or 3 renovations being done.
Right.
When I was doing my spectating. It's a 3-bedroom, 2 baths. It's got a basement, 1,500 square feet, and yeah, it needed a lot of work. It needed a lot of work. The good thing is it didn't need a heavy electrical, you know, nothing major with the plumbing, the HVAC. Those are 3 big ticket items. The roof, it didn't need none of those to be replaced. So that saved me a lot of headache and time.
Where'd you find the contractor?
So the contractor, I through word of mouth. I essentially, I called some flippers that I knew were, you know, who's been in the game for some time, just through networking and branding. My neighbor's a contractor, so I got three contractors out there. I also looked on not Facebook Marketplace. These Facebook groups. There's a lot of Facebook groups of investors and contractors. So just get on Facebook and start searching for it. But so yeah, I got one contractor through Facebook to give me a bid, my neighbor to give me a bid, who's a contractor, and as well as a referral. So 3 different ways that I got 3 different contractors out there to give me bids.
All right. And so what was that process like? Because this was your first renovation project, right?
Yeah, this was my first one.
And so any looking back on it, because I think I went up there maybe once or twice to look at the project. I think before you started, I went up there and just kind of gave you my assessment of what I think you should be doing on. And then I think I came probably when it was done.
Yeah.
And so if you would had to do the renovation part all over again, would anything you would have changed?
Oh, I think I would change several things. How much can I share? So I think one of the main things I would change is I would be uber like super hyper um clear about communication. I think communication is very key when working with contractors. Um and 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 I would definitely uh I think I would make sure I'm more thorough with things, you know. Being my first one, you recommended that the guy be licensed. You know, that way all the credentials are met, any criteria is followed, you know, everything is on the up and up. And although this guy was licensed, um, you know, there were some things that I could have avoided through just clear communication. Um, and also, I paid him cash. So one of the biggest mistakes is um, not not a mistake per se because I'm a little naive. You know, this is my first one, but you know, he, according to him, he was giving me a discount because it was cash. And come to find out, it wasn't really a discount; it was just his price. And so that's another thing. I paid cash, all cash, for. You see how I say that? It hurts.
So here's the thing about paying cash. There's a lot, but two things that strike me. No, number one, I always want to use somebody else's money and save my cash. But then number two, when you pay cash for a renovation project, so you're paying cash to a contractor, like how can you write that off? And so part of renovating a property is you get to write off all the expenses. There's no real documentation for the expenses that you paid because you paid cash. Now he could give you an invoice and there could be some receipts, things like that, or invoice, but you can't pay a contractor cash because you need to write off. And so let's say that your profit or your capital gain in your mind is that, let's just say on that project was, let's just say it was 50,000. On paper, it's probably closer to 100,000, which means you've got to pay taxes on that capital gain of 100,000 because you have no documentation that you paid. And so documentation would be a check or a Zelle
Yeah.
or you using, a credit card or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Even there's a paper trail. And so there always needs to be a paper trail so you can write all that stuff off. And so the capital gain isn't as high. And you can put more money in your pocket and not have to pay. And
Yeah.
so said, this is all new. It's your first project, but let that be a lesson learned. We never ever want to pay a contractor or anybody else in a renovation project cash. We always want to pay in a way that there's a paper trail, and there's lots of ways now with like I said, Zelle, Venmo, Cash App. Like I pay my contractors through all of those ways, so that
Mm-hmm.
it's my bank account. There's documentation for my bookkeeper or my CPA. They can easily see that, and
Right.
they're expensing all that out,
Yeah.
so that
Absolutely.
I don't have a huge capital gain that I've got to pay taxes on. So that
Mm-hmm.
it's just a lesson that you learn on that project that you won't make that same mistake moving forward. So you paid him cash, he didn't do you any favors. He charged you what you would have he would have charged anyway.
Right.
And so, but it's just a lesson learned.
Yeah.
And so we went over there. So Josue allowed my coaching students to shadow the property, look at the property. It was a wonderful renovation, and you did a wonderful job. I feel like you got it done on time, on budget, and you were able to put the property on the market and get it under contract. So you did, I mean, you did a great job with that. Talk a little bit about the financing. I know you paid some of it, I think, cash, another, I think, did you use a hard money lender?
I used both. I used private money, and I also used a hard money lender. So I got the hard money lender to finance me the renovation, and then I bought out the property with the private lender outright. So any private lenders out there, any people who you know, don't want to go through the headaches or the, you know, anything, and just want their money to work for them, please hit me up.
And
But
so, yeah, because Josue has the experience now. You live in I think Laurel. Why did you choose your first project to be Baltimore?
that's where the opportunity was, right? When you look at, you know, DMV is the land of milk and honey. I always tell people, and so prices are very, very reasonable, and also, you know, it's very equivalent to what people make where you live. And so I found that Baltimore was a much lower margin to get in. You know, there's a lot more opportunities there because the barrier to entry is so low. So, you know, the property, yeah, 50,000. You know, you can find properties for 5, 10, 15, 20,000, depending on where it is, obviously. But
We, we,
right.
we don't want to buy those.
Yeah, don't buy those. But yeah, the barrier to entry is very low in Baltimore, so that's why I went over there.
And so I remember trying to convince you to hold the property versus flipping the property. Once you've renovated the property, I said, Josue, you've got to refinance, get all your money back, and hold this property. Why did you decide to flip the property as opposed to holding it?
I went into it with the mentality to flip it. You know, I didn't want to have it as a rental property, and so my renovation budget was all with a flipping mindset, a flipping outcome. And so had I done it to rent it out, you know, I think it would have cost my renovation cost at least a third, you know, if not half. So because of that, because I wanted my money right now, I didn't want to, you know, the long-term game for this particular property. I think each property has its own story, but for this one, it was just for me. I went with the intention to just flip it.
And so what does the future hold? What do you want to do? More flips? You want to do more buy and holds? What is your future? Where 3 years from now, where do you see yourself?
3 years from now, I've seen myself have done 3 or 4 flips in you know, better areas, higher caliber areas, and I see myself owning at least 2 rental properties at the bare minimum, and seeing myself do several, you know, multiple wholesale deals. So that's where I see myself in 3 years from now. So I love this.
Like you like that flipping, don't you?
It came with a, you know, with a lot of headache, but overall I'm still in the green. So it's fine, and I learned a lot. I feel like it was a course in a way. So because it's one thing, you teach me all these things, you teach me a lot, but when you're in it, there's a lot of little things, and even though I can call you all the time and ask you questions, there's a lot of little things that, you know, you just learn as you go. So
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it's like on the job training.
yeah,
For you to have a resource to call, but at the end of the day, it's all about building wealth. And so what I like to express to our students is the way to build wealth is to hold on to your assets. And so when you flip a property, when you wholesale a property, that's not passive income. That you get paid at one time. It's more like active income. But when you hold a property, you get paid for a lifetime. And you can pass that asset to your children, children's children. You're still making a positive cash flow every month. You're still building equity as the property appreciates. And you can pull cash out at any, if you have equity in the property, you can pull cash out, and it's not a taxable event. It's free money. And you can use cash for whatever you want, even if you want to invest that into other properties. That's what you should do. So when you gave me where you want to be in 3 years, you were a little heavier on wholesaling and flipping, which are cash building strategies, versus I think you said you just want to have maybe 2 buy and holds. My suggestion to you is to be to do at least 1 buy and hold a year. So in 3 years, 3 buy and holds. You do 1 of those a year, now you're really starting to build wealth, especially if you buy properties in the right area. I always use the example of one I bought probably about 3 years ago in Deanwood for about $200,000. I owe about $175 now, but it's worth $500,000, and that's because Dean really appreciating at a high rate. One I own in Annapolis, I've already pulled cash out of that, but I bought that one for $80 about 5 or 6 years ago, and that's worth about $500,000, and I've already pulled it out. So I always look back at those 2 properties. What if I would have wholesaled those properties or flipped those properties? I wouldn't be in the position that I am now, especially on those properties, if I would have just had that one payday. It would have been good at the moment, but over a long period of time, you're building cash. So I would want you, because you have the means, you have the credit, you have everything, the know-how. I would want you to buy and hold at least 1 property a year.
I agree.
You can use the cash from wholesaling and flipping to then buy and hold. So I know you've got to run. What advice would you give people listening now, listening later, in terms of investing in real estate? What advice would you give them?
Yeah, so advice I would give, I believe I'm trying to narrow it down to always just 3 nuggets. One is educate yourself. Be educated as to how to be a real estate investor. Get around people like Greg. And if you want to condense your education, condense that time, condense your learning curve in getting educated, then get a mentor. Get a mentor who's where you want to be. I really look up to Greg. He's built enough passive income that he could retire, right? So it's just like, if I can build enough passive income to cover all my expenses, that's fantastic, because now my time could be spent at the kids' soccer games or at helping someone who needs help, whatever. My time is mine now because my real estate is paying for my monthly expenses. So get educated. If you want to quicken that process, get a mentor. Number 2, don't sit on the sidelines too long. It took me 2 years before I said, all right, I'm going to do this, for real. So it's like a lot of that was analysis paralysis and being afraid of making a mistake. And I still made mistakes. I made a lot of mistakes in this first flip, and so just do it. Just do it. That's my advice. Number 2 is to just get in there, get your hands dirty, take action. You have to do it for your family, do it, do it for the people that you love, and just get out there and do it. Get into real estate. And number 3 is to get around like-minded individuals. I think positivity, reading books, and hanging around people who are like-minded like you will help you achieve your goals quicker. If you're hanging around with people who don't want to build wealth, or who don't want to get into real estate, or who are wasting time, then that's putting you, that's taking time away from you, from progressing and succeeding quicker. So educate yourself, take action, implement what you learn, and get around people who are like-minded.
I've taught you well, Josue.
Yeah, man. God is good. God is good.
All right, man. I appreciate you. I appreciate you sharing. We get our blessings when we share. Blessings come back to us. So I appreciate you sharing your experience with your flip. Looking forward to you doing many more. One of the sounds like you've taken your own advice, because you definitely have jumped in. Whenever there's a meeting, you're there. You're learning. You're asking a lot of questions. Whenever we have our shadow events, you're always there. And you're learning. I see that a lot of what Sharvita did, you saw her at the panel. We all went and looked at her property over in Edmondson Village. You bought your property in Edmondson Village, and so that's what we need to do. Because of all that, really successful, and so just keep going and keep learning, keep grinding, and the sky's the limit. You've got some little ones that you're responsible for, and so and I know that you do that lightly. And so that's what I really like about you is like you're like a man's man. Like you really want to be responsible and take care of your family, and you're doing everything you can in order to do that. They've come to settlement with you. They're making too much noise. I wanted to just, but they were there, Josue. They were there. Like, have some candy, make them be quiet.
Yeah, man, you gotta have some toys in that room.
All right, man. Have a good day. I appreciate it. I'll call you later.
All right, brother. Thank you so much. I appreciate you as well.
All right, everybody. Have a great Wednesday. If you need to contact me, DM me. You can DM Josue. Follow Josue as well. If you've got any deals for either one of us, just DM us. And we'd love to take a look. Take care. All right, Josue.
All right, see you, brother. Bye.
All right.